Tax extension deadline may have passed, but for millions of Americans, the real trouble is just now starting. If you happen to miss the October 15th deadline, or if you owe back taxes, the IRS is ramping up enforcement every single day. Every day you wait also only makes things worse, and here's the harsh reality. The IRS can charge a penalty of 5% per month up to 25% of your total tax bill. All of this just for not filing. That's in addition to what you already owe. The good news is there's still time for Tax Network USA to help you out. If you're self-employed or if you're a business owner, even if your books are a mess, they've got you covered. Tax Network USA specializes in resolving financial chaos and getting you back on track fast. With tools like property seizures, bank levies, and wage garnishments, the IRS is applying pressure at levels we haven't seen in years. It's not too late to regain control, though. Your consultation is 100% free, and in one short call and a few simple questions, the experts at Tax Network USA can determine how much you can save. Simply call 800-905-8000 or visit tnusa.com/RAV. Let Tax Network USA help before the IRS makes the next move. President Trump is expected back at the White House any moment now after meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping in South Korea. Hi, everyone. I'm Terrence Bates. The commander-in-chief describing his meeting with Xi Jinping as a roaring success, saying he'll cut tariffs on China. Beijing has also agreed to allow the export of rare earth minerals and to restart purchases of American soybeans, among other things. However, during the talks to end the ongoing trade war between the world's two largest economies, President Xi praising President Trump for promoting peace around the world.
The world today is confronted with many tough problems. China and U.S. can jointly shoulder our responsibility as major countries and work together to accomplish more great and concrete things for the good of our two countries and the whole world. I look forward to exchanging views with you on questions important for our two countries and the world.
That's a quick check of your headlines. I'm Terrence Bates.
From the campus to the car, the bullhorn to the microphone, it's the Charlie Kirk Show.
All right, welcome back. We're about to welcome Mark Halperin in just a second. But before that, I want to tell you about Hillsdale College. We just had the great Larry Arnn in the studio. What a great conversation it was with Dr. Arnn, and had some really, really wise words about organizations like Turning Point. What do you do to keep legacies moving forward, even after the founder? So I personally really appreciated that. But I'm going to tell you about one of their courses, History, Economics, the Great Works of Literature. Did you study these things in school? Probably not, but even if you did, it's probably time for a refresher course. And Hillsdale College is offering a new free 8-lecture course with Dr. Larry Arnn teaching it, as he goes in depth on 4 novels, 1984, Brave New World, Darkness at Noon, and That Hideous Strength. Even though these novels were written many, many decades ago in the 1930s and 40s, they are more relevant today than they've ever been. You just turn on the news and find out why. More importantly, they can show us that faith, family, friends, and this country are worth fighting for. Maybe you read these books a long time ago. Maybe you've heard others talk about them, and they seem a little intimidating. Let Hillsdale College help you make the most of them. Go right now to charlieforhillsdale.com, charlieforhillsdale.com to enroll. It's no cost, easy to get started. They have over 40 free online courses that you can see there. That's charlieforhillsdale.com to register, CHARLIE.com or forhillsdale.com, and you can check those out. No cost to you. All right, we're so excited about this. One of my favorite guests of the show, of course, that is Mark Halperin, who I hope for this audience needs no introduction. But Mark, are you there? Can I see you? There you are, sir. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yeah, don't tug on Superman's cape, don't spit in the wind, and don't try to take a taxi or an Uber in Manhattan between Labor Day and Christmas.
Did you get stranded out in the public?
I had to jump out of my cab, and I'm sitting in a hotel lobby with a big sign that says, no one may use this lobby unless you're a guest in the hotel. So it could have some excitement, some Gotham City excitement coming up at the
Gotham City.
Tried to evict me.
Yeah, exactly. Gotham City is where I want to get started, actually, because we have this clip. I saw it earlier this week, and I want to know if it's still holding true. And I believe, here we go. Yeah, it's 134. You were predicting that there was a little bit of Oppo research coming down the pike. So let's play your clip, 134.
My informed spidey senses, we're going to see at least one more piece of pretty significant opposition research dropped in this race here at the end that will potentially shake things up. On one of the candidates, of course. No, on Mamdani. I think.
Will it have a effect on the outcome?
If it's what I'm told it is, it would have an effect.
So, Mark, that was got a lot of eyeballs across the social media sphere. What is the update? Are we going to see this pretty late in the game? That was basically the consensus sort of opinion I was hearing. Why, if they had it, why didn't they release it before? What's the update?
Well, it's a little complicated. First of all, on two-way, we try to be transparent, right? We're not old media where we know secret things so we don't tell our audience. And I was dealing with the source who I trust over years of dealing, and this person said, we have something. We're not sure we're going to be able to put it out because we got to square the circle and dot the I's, but we're trying to. And then two things have come out since I said that, which if Mamdani were being treated like a normal candidate, I think would have had a major impact on the race. But the New York Times in particular is covering him like they covered Barack Obama in 2008. It's all about rainbows and special ponies as opposed to scrutiny of the frontrunner. So one story was a video that never been out as far as I can tell of Mamdani comparing unfavorably the New York City police, who he might be the commander of in a few weeks, with the Israeli army, the Israeli military. So that came out. And then another thing came out since then. His mother said that he was not an American, that he didn't really identify as an American. Both of those things, I think, in a normal race, normal coverage would have been explosive. My source won't tell me if those were the things they were referring to. So there might still be something else, but it's possible that one of those two things, again, which should normally shake up a race, just haven't, because except for the New York Post and me, not many people are covering these things.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty shocking thing to admit. I mean, I think it's something, and Blake, we can bring you in here, but Blake Neff is joining us here. It's a pretty shocking thing, actually, for the mother of the mayoral candidate in New York City, the largest, greatest city, apparently, that we have, according to many, and for him to basically have a family member, his mother, say that he doesn't even identify as American. Here's my thought, though, on this. Is that essentially you have about, 60 or is it 4? I might be inverting them.
It might be a winning strategy with the New York electorate.
Yeah, the New York electorate is essentially, let's say half, because it's either 40 or 60%, I'm forgetting off the top of my head, is foreign born. So this is not necessarily really that American of a city in its present form and demographics. I mean, maybe this is actually a net ad for him, Mark.
It might be. And, the other thing might be a net ad, too. He basically said that the IDF, the Israeli military, laces up the boots of the NYPD and suggests they're both kind of like jackbooted thugs. Again, there'd be some constituency for that. And certainly this is an unorthodox campaign. I've been referring lately regarding Mamdani to Donald Trump's famous, I could shoot somebody up Fifth Avenue and I wouldn't lose support. What would have to come out about Mamdani for the New York Times to write a front page story about the front runner? What would he have to do? Because when they say, well, his mom said this about him when he was in college. He wasn't in college that long ago. He's only 34. So it's not like, total ancient history. So like I said, my source has gone a little dark on me and there may still be something else, but it's possible that one of those two things were the things they put out, and they had the perspective I did, which is you would think at this point in the campaign, they would be concerned about their place in history for failing to scrutinize the front runner.
Well, it just strikes me that what could even, we have early voting in New York, and he has got, according to the polls, a pretty big lead. What even, let alone New York Times writing about it, just what could possibly actually close that gap in the amount of time that's remaining? And yeah, I kind of feel it might be nothing.
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
Well, so two very prominent New York Post columnists have come out and said basically Andrew Cuomo's a bum, but he's our bum. That they were voting for Cuomo, Cindy Adams and Michael Goodwin. And I have seen, again, it's anecdotal, but I have seen and heard from many people, Republicans, who said, I'm just not going to waste my vote on the Republican nominee, Curtis Lewa. I'm going to vote for Cuomo. And the bandwagon effect is not nothing, right? If people think if they vote for Cuomo, they might be able to stop a socialist mayor who they don't want to see. I also think I'm predicting, I don't know this reporting wise, but I would say I'm predicting. I wouldn't be surprised if there were robo-calls, maybe from Donald Trump and others, to Republicans over the weekend saying, don't vote for Curtis, vote for Cuomo because it's the only way to save the city. So if you look at public opinion polls, you'd say the race is over, but it's hard to poll this electorate, right? Because as you know, you're trying to poll regular voters, people who vote on a reliable basis. A lot of Mamdani supporters wouldn't show up there. So I don't know which way that cuts, but I know there's some volatility here, and Cuomo could get wiped out, or it could be quite close, and we're just not going to know till Tuesday.
And if it is close, or even if it's, as long as Mamdani gets below 50%, where there's the sense if they'd consolidated fully to beat him, I do feel like there's going to be a lot of questions asked, why was there a failure to fully consolidate the field? And I've heard people complain a lot. There's a lot of pressure that was put on Sliwa to drop out and on Republicans to just get behind Cuomo. But I also heard people validly ask, okay, first of all, why is it ever okay to just say, oh, the entire Republican Party has to quit this race because Democrats couldn't get a better, centrist candidate against Mamdani? But also, was anything seriously offered? Like, was there an incentive given for Republicans or for Sliwa specifically where you will get this concession? This is going to be a much more conservative Cuomo government than it would be otherwise in order to incentivize the creation of that unified anti-Mamdani coalition?
I've seen Cuomo now go on with Maria Bartiromo on Fox Business, things like that. And Sliwa has claimed, correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, here, but that somebody offered him $10 million to get out of the race. I haven't heard from a policy standpoint the concessions, but it does seem like Cuomo is trying to present himself as more of a centrist. He's been hinting at the fact that there is a civil war on the within the Democrat Party, and that he believes that the far left Democrat socialists like Mamdani are going to destroy the party. Maybe you have more insight for us, Mark.
Well, look, Cuomo is not the most liberal member of the party by any means. He's got some very liberal positions on some social issues, but he's not a flaming liberal on economics, and certainly not as compared to Mamdani. So, elections are about choices. There's three people on the ballot who are trying to become mayor. One of them is not going to win. It's Curtis. And I get why he's staying in. He's having the time of his life. He was very good in both debates, and he's enjoying it. So, and apparently that's worth more than $10 million. So then if you're a voter, your choices are a guy who's a socialist and inexperienced, and a guy who's deeply flawed and not particularly well liked, but is not a socialist and has a lot of experience. So it's a strange election. And Mamdani has not been strong for the last 3 weeks. He was not strong in the second debate. He's not been strong in interviews. He did a big rally with Bernie Sanders and AOC. Karl Rove has a really interesting comment in the Wall Street Journal today about the speech he gave, basically accusing the city of being anti-Muslim. And he's not closing on like a super skillful mode where he's been most of the campaign. Who knows how voters will relate to that. But I think the key thing is Curtis's vote. If Curtis Lewa, who's the Republican nominee, if his vote total is below 10, I think Cuomo can win. But some recent polls have him closer to 20 than to 10.
Yeah, well, I was about to say, throw up 274. This is Emerson College recent poll where it has Mamdani at 50%. And then if you add up Cuomo and Sliwa, you're just at 46% with 5% undecided. I suppose if all the undecideds broke for Cuomo and Sliwa got out, maybe they could combine the vote, consolidate the vote, and actually pull ahead. But this is like, what I perceive is going on when you're talking about this new tone from Mamdani in the closing weeks of the race here, Mark, is that it's sort of a mask-off moment. He thinks he's got this thing in the bag, and he's reverting to a deeper, more personal held beliefs, that he's going full grievance politics about Islam and his family and 9/11 and all this stuff.
That's the best analysis of the race I've heard from anybody in Arizona in a long time. Exactly right. The way you just said it's exactly right. And I've talked increasingly to people who are unsettled by the prospects of his being there, not even because of his issue positions. They just find his manner to be strange. And we'll see if he does win. if he makes an effort to unify the city. I do worry, not in the short term, less about his policies, because I still think he's going to have trouble implementing a lot of the stuff he's proposing that a lot of people think is foolish. I just think there's going to be an explosive reaction from lots of constituents, particularly Jewish New Yorkers, who are just truly emotionally unsettled. I would call it Mamdani derangement syndrome.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to take a quick break. More with Mark Halperin on the other side. We'll be right back.